Hopefully it lets me go live. This is setting up for YouTube live. Um, I think we're live now. Let me just double checking. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I got my good friend here with me, Jim Girouard. We're going to be talking about like a lot of interesting stuff today, occult symbolism. Jim's the author of Dice Code Divination, and he does Dice Code Divination for people. He'll talk about that a little bit tonight. He's also the author of The Matrix is the Glitch. We're going to be talking about the Othala rune tonight, the Ace of Swords, a lot of interesting stuff. It's going to be just like, and yeah. But with all that said, I'd like to give him a big warm welcome back to the show. Jim, thanks so much for coming back on, man. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, so it seems like you have a lot of interesting things you want to talk about tonight. Like, what's going on? What did you want to hit on first, and like maybe see how it all ties in together.
Uh, we could show the painting, and I want to talk about these two book authors, and then maybe we can talk about the Tesla notes that were sold to the Germans in 1927.
Okay, let me see here if I can pull this up. Let me see here. Wait a second, that's not it. Share that. Wait, okay, share that. Okay, that's our show. So I'm sharing that. Okay, but that's not what I want. I want to share this. Okay, why is that? Okay, there we go. Perfect. It should be showing the painting now. Yeah. Did it load?
Yeah.
Awesome. This is a beautiful painting, Jim. Like, this is it seems like you did something with runes instead of dice. Or the dice are you're using the dice as runes, or a mix of dice and runes, or something. Like,
On the left, you see hexagram 9 from the I Ching, and in the center on the top is a Nordic rune called Othala, and then on the right is the Ace of Swords from the tarot cards.
I love that. Like, and how does it all tie in together? What made you want to do that? Like,
I wanted to do a painting on divination, something kind of simple and a lot of colors and sort of easy to look at. And I want to talk about these two book authors. One is Craig Conley, otherwise known as Professor Oddfellow, and the other one is E.A. Coetting, who has a website called Become a Living God. And for this painting, I sent an email to E.A. Coetting and I said to him, which Nordic rune do you think I should use? And he wrote back and he said, use Othala. That's the last rune of the Nordic alphabet.
wow, that's cool. Yeah. And what does it symbolize? Like, what is it? What is it?
I sent you a link that has a definition of it.
Yeah. Let me see here. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. It'll be interesting to what I asked my chat GPT about the stuff you sent me. And it says Othala rune, heritage, possession, home, ancestral memory. It says Jim planted this rune. This is what the AI said about your painting. This is interesting, right? It said Jim planted this rune dead center in the painting. That rune, ancestral memory, inherited patterns, karmic loops, and reclaiming your soul's property from the matrix. And remember, Othala's shadow side, loss of order, homelessness, narrow-mindedness. That's perfect for the thesis that the matrix is the glitch, because I told it about your book, and so it knows about your book. The Matrix is the glitch, and it says Jim is showing that the ancestral code Othala is being scrambled by the Matrix, and that divination tools like runes, tarot, dice, and pendulums are ways to break the spell and realign yourself. Is that what you were going for?
Yeah, I wanted to do a painting that was, specifically about divination, and at the same time sort of introduce some other forms of divination, such as the I Ching, Nordic runes, tarot cards, and using a crystal as a pendulum.
That's cool. Yeah, yeah. You specifically gave the Ace of Swords in the Biddy Tarot link.
Yeah, your volume is extremely low, and I'm having a hard time hearing what you're saying.
Oh, let me hold on. Let me turn myself up. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I gotta. Hold on. I'll figure this out. Wait. Let me audio. Did you? All right. Wait. I got it. Oh, give me 1 second here. It's not giving me. Okay, their input volume. Can you hear me better now? Is it better
Yeah,
now?
yeah, that's much better.
Okay, so I'll just repeat this. Were you able to hear what I said about the Othala rune?
I heard bits and pieces of it.
Okay, so here's what it said. And let me move my microphone closer to me. I'm just wait. Hold on, guys. Sorry, guys, if you're in the chat and stuff. But so here's what it said. And can you hear me much better now? Is that better?
Yeah, it's much louder.
Okay. It says it says Jim planted this room dead center in the painting. That room means ancestral memory, inherited patterns, karmic loops, and reclaiming your soul's property from the matrix. And remember, Othala's shadow side, loss of order, homelessness, narrow-mindedness, that's perfect for the thesis that the matrix is the glitch. Jim is showing that the ancestral code, Othala, is being scrambled by the matrix, and that divination tools like runes, tarot, dice, and pendulums are ways to break the spell and realign yourself.
That's pretty interesting, coming from AI.
Yeah, right? Yeah, like it's cool how he broke down your painting. Yeah. Like, let me see what else he said. He said, I mean, he yeah. That was all it wrote about the painting. It gave me more stuff about Professor Oddfellow, and it gave me the like information about the becoming living God. So break down the rest of this painting. What let me ask. Well, actually, let's do this. Let's ask the AI to break down your painting and see what it says. Let's and I'll read it. Let me see if it'll do it. Like, okay, this is really interesting, Jim. I'm going to read you all of this. Okay, it says the painting looks like a map of consciousness navigation inside the matrix. The central star and compass suggest orientation and reality, while surrounding symbols represent tools for decoding the system. Think of it as a metaphysical navigation chart. The 8-point star, which is in the center, the large 8-point star in the center is the anchor of the whole painting. Possible meanings: cosmic compass, 8 directions of reality, dimensional gateways. In esoteric traditions, the 8-point star represents balance between the material and spiritual worlds, universal order, and cosmic orientation. In Jim's context, it likely represents finding your direction inside the matrix. The compass letters NWES reference that idea. And then it talks about the compass rose. And it says at the center of the painting, there's a star as a compass rose, meaning orientation, direction, navigation, finding truth. This suggests that divination tools help people navigate reality, like tarot runes, dice, pendulums. And then the Othala rune, we kind of went into that, but it says in mystical representations, it can represent the original blueprint of humanity. In Jim's narrative, it likely means humanity has forgotten its origin inside the simulation. Rune divination reconnects us to that memory. The shadow meaning of Othala means loss of order, displacement, spiritual non-awareness. This perfectly fits the matrix glitch concept. And then it says dice and runestones. It says these represent randomness as a communication system. He said Jim uses dice code divination, so this part is crucial, meaning probability, synchronicity, pattern recognition, and randomness revealing hidden order. In simulation theory, random number generators reveal glitches, so dice may symbolize hacking the system through chance. And then it talks about the sword. It says the sword with the crown strongly represents the Ace of Swords tarot card. That card represents truth, clarity, cutting through illusion, and awakening. This connects to the show theme, breaking the illusion of the matrix. The crown means victory of truth. And then lastly, it says, or no, there's more. It says the pendulum divination tool. It says the hooded figure holding a pendulum represents dowsing, intuitive divination, communication with higher consciousness. Pendulums are used to access subconscious knowledge, tap into non-local information fields. And then it says the book, the matrix is the glitch. This book symbolizes knowledge transmission. It implies the matrix isn't the perfect system. It contains errors, patterns, and cracks. Divination reveals these cracks. The child painting the reality. At the bottom, you see a boy painting the world. That's a huge symbolic statement. It could possibly mean consciousness creates reality. The observer paints the simulation. Reality is participatory. This actually very consistent with quantum observer theory. In other words, the world is not fixed. We are painting it or creating it as we see it. And then it says the polar bear and the tour. And guys, I'm breaking down everything. We're having AI break down everything in Jim's painting, and it's. I think it's on point with everything. So now it's going over the polar bear and the toy. These may represent childhood innocence or imagination, meaning we understand reality better before conditioning. Children often see the world more intuitively. And then 10, the lighting energy burst. The explosive shapes around the star resemble energy discharges, dimensional fractures. These could symbolize glitches in reality. The hidden narrative. Put everything together and the painting tells a story. It's basically saying reality is the navigate system. Ancient tools help decode it. Truth cuts through illusion. Randomness reveals hidden patterns. And humans are creators inside the simulation. And then it has a bunch of questions I could ask you about the painting if you want me to.
Boy, that's really fascinating. I don't think I could have explained it any better myself.
I think it really did your painting justice, Jim. I'm glad we decided to do that. That was kind of completely, it was complete. That was pretty amazing, right?
It's almost like the AI pulled it right out of my mind.
Well, you know why it's able to do that. This is what I find fascinating about AI, and I didn't think we were going to talk about this tonight, but like my AI knows everybody that comes on my podcast, and it knows me pretty well. You know what I mean? Like I've done shows with you in the past, so it knows about you. It knows like books you've written, and it kind of like knows your personality. You know what I mean? So it's able to kind of like tap into your paintings, and it also what's interesting is it can almost give a perspective of what it thinks you might mean in the painting. And I find that fascinating that the AI is able to do that, you know?
It's almost like talking to a person.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. You know what I mean? And what I've learned, I mean, like, some people are scared of AI, and I understand why, because it can be, I feel like it's like something where we're headed where we don't quite understand it yet. But like me, like I've been able to tap into my AI and get amazing information. It's like just like what we just got, like all that stuff was actually factual, and it was like, it was good information. Now I've gotten bad information from the AI too. It's not flawless by any means, but sometimes it can definitely pull a rabbit out of the hat, like and stuff like that. So I do find it beneficial in some ways.
I thought this painting would be a really nice compliment to your podcast because you've had a lot of people on that do tarot card readings and live readings and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you like tapped into like a theme of my podcast because there's like Dr. Amir who uses runes and other people who use runes. You use the dice. People use a lot of people come on my show and do tarot. You know what I mean? And then a lot of people come on my show and talk about the illusion of the matrix or cutting through the matrix or escaping the simulation. So yeah, it actually does like tie in perfectly. It's pretty cool.
I wanted to tell you a little bit about the two book authors, Craig Conley and E.A. Coetic.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Craig Conley is the one who submitted the image of on the bottom of the boy with the holding the broom, and he's making believe that his bed is a boat.
Yeah.
Uh, I sent you a link to one of his books called Hexapedia, and he he made a chapter in that book describing my dice method.
That's so cool. That's really cool.
Do you have the link to his book?
I can try to pull it up. I would have to stop sharing it and I would have to pull it up from another, yeah, do you want me to pull it up? Is that what
Yeah,
you
if you have it.
Okay, let me stop sharing. I'll pull it up. Give me 1 second. So, okay, let me work on this. Is there? Let me see here. Did you want to talk a little bit about EA co-editing while you're oh, here it is. All links in one email. Okay, I got it right here. Did you want? Okay, so which one? Professor Oddfellow? Is that
Yeah,
him?
called Hexapedia.
I don't think you sent me. I have Biddy Tarot for the Arcana, the Ace of Swords. I have Professor Oddfellow, and then I have the Becoming a Living God. Oh, you mean the? Yeah, that's all I have in this email.
Uh, Pull up the one that says Professor Oddfellow.
Okay. You want me to share it?
Yeah,
Okay. Give me 1 second. It's loading here. My computer's like slow. Um. Oh shit. It's moving really slow. It's moving like slow. Like it's moving. Yeah. I'm having major issues with my internet. I mean, like I shouldn't be having these issues at all. My internet's fast. I think I'm gonna take my computer into the shop and get it worked on. Honestly, because like I can't. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna share it right now. I'll subscribe. Would this person be a good guest?
yeah, definitely.
Who is it? Tell us about them. Like,
Uh, uh, Craig Conley is a book author, and what you're seeing here is his YouTube channel.
yeah,
He he writes books about the meanings of individual letters.
yeah. But look at this one. This one's called "Cussing Ouija Boards and Spooky Sleepovers on Professor Oddfeller's Stand-Up Shtick." That's probably funny. Like, looks like he does like funny stuff. You
Yeah,
know.
a lot of it is comical.
Uh, Look at this: a workout with the Sphinx and a vampire. It's grave mood.
It's kind of like a cross between comedy and occult magic.
that's hilarious. Oh, yeah, I'll definitely check him out for sure. Yeah, that's cool. Did you want me to pull up something else next, or
Yes. Could you pull up Become a Living God?
yeah?
Okay, this is the book I was referring to as this rune magic. Okay.
Wow.
He not
See,
only did he write a book about it, but there's an interview on YouTube. It's called The Alchemist Interviews E.A. Coetti. And in this interview, he talks all about the runes, the history of it, the magic behind it, and how to use them.
yeah. Wow, this is interesting. Is this dark though, Jim? Is this kind of like dark stuff, or like or is it misunderstood?
Uh, uh, you might you might say that it's dark stuff. Yeah, some of it.
That's a little scary. I mean, like, but like, yeah, I don't know.
I wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, okay, I'll stop sharing. Okay, yeah, okay,
Okay, there are sorcerers and there are black magicians, and they're on what you might call the left-hand path or the dark side. And then you have the right-hand path, which is basically, like Krishna consciousness and Christianity and that sort of thing.
yeah,
Well, what people don't know is that people on the left-hand side and the dark side have just as much a chance of liberation as the right-hand path.
because the way you look at it is you look at we're in a matrix, and I'm guessing. So right? Is that kind of where are you going with that?
I was thinking more along the lines of people's perception and understanding of what liberation means.
Yeah, liberation means like getting out of here, or enlightenment, right? Or like
Right,
great
exactly.
work.
Yeah. I think that most people think that black magicians and sorcerers are basically, condemned and that their chance of liberation is zero.
Because they'd be coming from a Christian perspective, right?
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
what do
here's
you
the
think?
thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know about goddess Khali.
Yeah,
Okay, goddess Khali is very scary looking. She's got a sword in one hand and she's holding a decapitated head in the other hand, and she drinks blood and she's very ferocious looking.
I have a picture of her. I'm going to share it. Because you
Oh,
sent me
very
a
good.
picture. Yeah, I'm going to share it. Okay, 1 second. Let me share it. Okay, that's Goddess Kali.
Right.
Why is she so dark? Or like, what's her thing? Like, or what's her? Yeah.
Sh she's a personification of divine anger.
So a lot of times this isn't about like light or dark. It's about seeing things from higher levels and higher perspectives, and through enlightenment, right? It's not
Exactly.
about something like demonic or something like that. Is what you're saying, right?
Right.
So you're saying it's misunderstood, kind of in a way.
It's totally misunderstood. In fact, the goddess Kali is often described as being the devil.
Wow. Is she dualistic in nature?
Non-dualistic.
Okay, talk about that a little bit. Like,
Okay, goddess Kali is the Godhead. She's the female version of the Godhead. So you could say that she is a primal entity that comes directly from source.
yeah.
The ferocity, her ferocious aura that you see in these depictions is all about her destroying the false ego.
So it's higher levels of consciousness. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because the false ego is what keeps you trapped to the material world, right?
Exactly.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to break away our ego and break away from the material world.
Right. Exactly.
Oh,
So
okay, I get
what
it.
happens with these black magicians is they find out about Goddess Cully and they're very much attracted to her. Okay. And there's a mantra that they chant every day, and they eventually achieve liberation from chanting that mantra. It's pretty much the same process as the right hand path, where someone is a Hare Krishna devotee and they chant the Hare Krishna mantra every day, and they achieve liberation that way through the right hand path. Black magicians on the left hand path do it through chanting the goddess Kali mantra.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Wow. Um, I'm trying to pull up the chat to see if we have any questions, but like the chat won't load on my phone. So I
Yeah,
have no clue what people are saying in the chat. Like, I can't believe this. It's like constant issues with the internet. Like, yeah. Um wow. Yeah, I don't know what anybody's saying in the chat because it's like I'll show you. This is what's showing up on my phone, guys. Like, so for everybody, or let me stop sharing so I can just show everybody what's going on. Like, and this is a newer phone. Like, this is a newer phone. Like, my computer's newer, so it's showing our video, but then the whole chat's blacked out on the bottom, and it won't
yeah,
load at
yeah.
all. it's just like this is the kind of shit that happens all the time. You know, and like it's either that or like before a show, it's like voices. You know, like we had different with the audio, or it's always some kind of weird technical issue. I don't understand it. I don't know if that's the Matrix itself trying to mess with me, or if it's like a government force, or if it's just like, or if it's and to think deeper and kind of where we're going with everything. If it's some kind of version of my psyche or like my psychic nature, like putting energy unknowingly into the technology and messing it up.
Well, sometimes it's Mercury in retrograde.
Oh, that is, yeah. We're in. Well, actually, we're in. I think we're in a triple whammy right now. I think we had an eclipse. I think we have a full moon, and I think the moon's still full, and we're in Mercury retrograde. So we're in like it's a triple whammy as far as like, you know,
Now, plus six planets are all in alignment.
wow. No wonder shit's wacky. You know,
Yeah.
honestly. I've been sick the whole time throughout the whole retrograde, and I've had a really bad like cold or flu, you know, and I'm trying to fight through it, like, and still do shows, but it's just like it's really bad. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's talk about the Tesla notes that were sold to the Germans.
Okay,
Okay, in 1927, Nikola Tesla tried to sell his notes to the United States government, but the scientists looked at those notes and they didn't understand them. So he went to several countries, and the one country that bought his notes was the Germans because they had been thinking outside the box and they understood the principles in Tesla's notes. Okay, but here's the thing, okay? When Tesla went to the United States government and they said they didn't understand, the physics, they could have hired Tesla as a science officer and he could have guided them and they could have built all of these things like free energy and space travel and the death ray and all these other things, okay? Okay, so here's the thing. When Tesla died, the government went into his apartment in New York City. He had 8 trunkloads of notes. Okay. Now they took his notes, and the person that was in charge of the whole project was John Trump, who was Donald Trump's uncle.
yeah,
Okay.
I've heard about that. Yeah,
Okay. Now here's the thing. Did Tesla sell his original notes to the Germans, or did he photograph the notes and sell them the photographs?
well, I heard that his notes just got confiscated, but like you're saying, he could have sold them to the Germans. But didn't the Germans get their technology from the Vril women?
Okay, the Germans got their technology from 3 sources. One of them was the Vril, Maria Orsic.
She channeled Aldebaran, right? And beings from
Yeah.
Aldebaran. Yeah.
The second source was a UFO that crashed in the Black Forest of Germany in 1936, which they back engineered.
Wow.
Plus, they had the Tesla notes.
Wow. So you think they did get a chance to get you think they did get a hold of those Tesla notes?
Well,
And if they did, well, why was Tesla communicating with the Germans? He was an American.
Tesla was trying to sell his notes to whoever was willing to buy them.
And it just so happens that the Germans were really into the occult and they were probably working on these projects. So that would make a lot of sense. Wow, that's fascinating, Jim. No one
Okay.
ever talked about that before.
Okay, here's the thing. The question in my mind is, did Tesla give them the originals or did he give them photographs which are copies? So in other words, in 1927, the only way that you could make a copy is to take a photograph.
Yeah.
So if he photographed his notes, he could have sold his photographs to the Germans and kept the original notes. And if that happened, that means that the United States government got the original notes when he died.
And it would have went to Trump's uncle, you're saying.
Exactly.
which would have included possibly time travel stuff, maybe.
Exactly. Now, getting back to the interview with Dan Cooper and Laura Eisenhower.
Yeah,
Okay, Dan Cooper is the only person on the internet that was saying that Tesla sold his notes to the Germans in 1927. Okay, so
yeah.
when I did a search on YouTube, nothing came up. Okay, so what that tells me is that Dan Cooper either knows an insider or he himself is an insider, and he's getting the information directly from the inside.
Wow.
So, in other words, there's no videos on YouTube about Tesla selling his notes to the Germans
So where would Dan Cooper be getting his information from?
from the inside.
From the CIA.
I don't know if it's CIA or who it is.
It would have to be. Who else would have that information? You know what I mean?
Well, it's most likely would be something like CIA or some three-letter organization.
That's pretty fascinating, though. I mean, that is like,
Okay, I think there's a question that needs to be answered here. And I think that researchers ought to look into this, is whether or not those 8 trunkloads in Tesla's apartment that was confiscated by the government, whether or not those original notes were in those 8 trunkloads, and whether or not Tesla sold photographs to the Germans.
yeah. How could we ever know though? You know what I mean? Like it's impossible to find out, right? I mean, the only way we could find out is someone would have to literally like time travel back to time, and like, I mean, right? Like, I don't think we would know any other way, right?
I, I want to bring up another detail.
Okay.
Margaret Cheney wrote a book called Tesla, Man Out of Time. And she talks about the government going in and confiscating the 8 trunkloads of Tesla's notes. And what she's saying is that the United States transferred those notes to the Russians.
Wow.
Okay. Now let's get back to Dan Cooper for a second. What Dan Cooper was saying is that the Nazis gained the upper hand by getting Tesla's notes because they have the technology and we don't.
Yeah.
So, in other words, the Nazis are ruling the planet.
I knew that. I could. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I mean, there. Like I had Brad Olson on my show recently, and he talked about the Fourth Reich, like Nazis in Antarctica, and also they went to South America, and then they went off world. If you like look at like people like John Whitberg and like you talked about the secret space program, Penny Bradley, who've talked about Kruger and Knockoff, and possibly existing out in space, and I definitely think that. Yeah. And then Dan Willis also connected that. He thinks the Fourth Reich is in charge of our media. You know what I mean? And that's why our media is so fucked up.
What Dan Cooper is saying is the reason that the Nazis are ruling the planet is because they're the ones who bought Tesla's notes.
Yeah. Yeah. So they would know everything in advance. So you're saying, so Trump wouldn't have access to those notes?
That's another question.
Well, I mean, like, if he had access to those notes, he would know things like talking a little bit about current events. Like, he would know whether it was right for him to go in that war or not. I'm not saying it was right or not. I'm just saying, he would know what was going to happen, right?
See, here's the thing. If the Nazis at the present moment have superiority, that tells me that Tesla gave them the original notes and didn't have any copies.
Yeah, yeah. So
You
the
see what I'm
FBI, when
saying?
he died, the FBI never got his notes. Then the Nazis already had them. You're saying?
Exactly.
Do you think he was getting heat from like the CIA or the FBI, and do you think that's who murdered him or something, or killed, or do you think do you think like the United States government took him out or something like that?
I don't think the CIA even existed when Tesla died.
There was like I think it was the OSS or something like that. It was,
There was something like a CIA before them.
yeah, it was. I think it was like, yeah, I think it was the OSS. Yeah, I'm not
And
sure.
I think Tesla died in the early 1940s.
Yeah. If anybody knows in the chat, let us know. And I can see the chat now, guys. So yeah,
Mhm.
we're good. Like I finally I had to restart my phone 3 times, but what was really nice was Derek, my friend Derek Galloway in the chat. Big shout out to Derek. He's one of my moderators. He was going to read off the questions to me. If anybody had a question in the chat, he texted me. While we were going. That's why I was kind of looking at my phone. But no, this is fascinating stuff, Jim. We can keep going. I have a show with Nathan in an hour, so I still have some time. Um,
Okay, I want to talk about something else. Carrie Cassidy did a podcast where she talks about the white hats and the black hats meeting together at a round table in Antarctica.
what happened? Did she say that when she was on my show? I can't remember.
I don't know if she said it on your show, but she's got a podcast where she talks about Antarctica, the white hats and the black hats. And there's this other element to this story, which is an AI entity from Beetlejuice.
What about the AI energy from Beetlejuice? Like, what is it?
Basically, what she's saying is that this AI entity from Beetlejuice is in control of the meeting.
Holy shit! And it's giving orders and stuff.
Exactly.
Holy shit, that's insane.
Okay, now the thing that really kind of blew my mind about this
I'm sorry
Carrie
about that.
Cassidy podcast was she didn't give her opinion about this event.
Wow.
I don't know why. I mean, she's very outspoken,
Yeah, she is.
okay? But she doesn't tell you her thoughts and feelings about this Antarctica thing, which kind of strikes me as, the white hats and the black hats, they're both on the same team.
Yeah.
That's
That
what
but
it
that
sounds
would that
like.
would make sense. But that would make sense with the whole shot. Oh, my light went out. Where's my light? Oh shit. Here it is. Here it is. That would make sense with the whole shadow government thing. Like that. That the shadow government picks who's going to be president, and they basically just give orders. And we think that there's a president and that they have so much say over what goes on in the world. But really, every president you see them repeat behaviors. They tend to go to war. They tend to change things in the financial system. You know what I mean? It's almost like this is coming down from like a higher. I've thought about this a lot, like, and I was like, who's really controlling the world? And like, like, is an AI god controlling the world? Or is it something demonic controlling the world that wants bloodshed? And that's why we have what's going on, like, and not just the wars, but like all the pedophilia and murdering and, all that crazy shit too, and human trafficking and off world trafficking and.
Well, think about this AI entity from Beetlejuice for a minute. It's like a third element, and that third element is in charge.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't Carrie Cassidy state her opinion or her thoughts, her feelings?
I don't know. I might ask her. I have her coming on the show again soon. I'm
Yeah,
going to
I mean,
ask her about that.
it's an amazing statement to say that the white hats and the black hats are all sitting around at the same table.
Yeah,
And not only that, there's an entity from Beetlejuice and it's artificial intelligence and it's running the whole show.
that's insane. But that's absolutely insane. Yeah. Like that's wild.
Are you doing a call in tonight?
We can. I can fire up the phone lines if you want. I mean, I don't know if anybody will call in, but we can definitely do that. Yeah, like let's take some call. Let me see if I can open it up and like yeah, like let's see if I can get the website to open. By the way, I wanted to tell you guys so real quick while we're waiting for that. I'm watching the chat and I see a lot of ads popping up. There's a feature on StreamYard. It's supposed to let you select fewer ads, so no like hardly no ads pop up, and that's what I select every time. So I feel like YouTube's taking liberties with the ads. Honestly, you know what I mean. So I may have to just turn off ads completely during live streams. I don't know how that would affect like any money I make or anything like that. But I mean, it is a lot. It's absolutely a lot. It's like it's. I mean, it's too much. It's like I don't know why they do that. Like it's like I'm logging into Call Studio now. Uh, So if you guys want to call in, you can call in and yeah, I'm trying to think. We can talk about some more stuff, Jim. What else are you working on like recently? What's going on? Are you working on a new book or anything?
No, I basically stopped writing books.
What just because or what happened?
Uh, it's mostly because I'd rather do a painting.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you can express everything in your painting, esoterically, you know.
Yeah, it's much more visual and it's easier to look at.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call in right now and I'll log in the show. And if you guys want to call in, you can. If you're hearing me, let me see. Let me call in right now. 818.
Thank you for calling Call-In Studios hosted call screener line. Please enter your show or meeting number and press pound. Enter your 6-digit PIN number. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your from the Call-In Studio web interface.
Okay, so yeah, you guys can call in if you want. I know I don't have the number up on the screen because I'm not using StreamYard, but the number is 573-877-7637 if you want to call in. And it'd be great to take some calls. Let me see here. 573, I'll put it in the chat, 877-7637. And outside the US, you just do 0111 first. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what people have to say.
The other thing I wanted to say, I kind of forgot to say it before, was I did a Google search on Tesla selling his notes to the Germans. What came up on Google was that he sold his notes to the Germans regarding the death ray,
Wow.
but it didn't say anything about free energy or space travel.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. Like, but I mean, it could have been in there somewhere. So maybe who knows, right? I mean, I don't know.
The death ray could have been included in the notes that he sold to them.
I just heard someone say they were using the death ray. Someone else they thought the government was using the death ray at one point to try to shoot down UFOs. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah, this kind of goes back into what we were talking about earlier. The idea, the question of whether or not the United States government was actually able to, decode Tesla's notes and eventually basically do the same thing that the Nazis were doing.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, you wonder where they got you have to wonder where they got the information for the TR3B, because we know that's real. There's a patent for it and everything, like it's, and I'm sure they have a lot of other craft, so I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. If you guys want to call in, you know, yeah. And, I'm trying to think. Or you could call in and talk about Jim's painting. You know, if you want to make a comment on Jim's painting, or anything else we talked about. You know, the light and dark path. You know, yeah, we went over a lot of stuff. You know. Um, Derek in the chat says death ray technology is what starts. Let me see. Is what starts the fires. They shoot it off from miles in the sky, he says. So he thinks they might be using, Derek thinks they might be using the death ray as like some kind of direct energy weapon.
The only thing I know about the death ray is that it was capable of taking out airplanes at a distance of 200 miles.
Wow. So if the government had the death ray and then the Germans also had the death ray, like then that means that like, you know, like yeah, that would mean that like someone would have had to have gotten Tesla's files, right?
Well, if that was the case, there'd be all kinds of, events of warfare that we don't know anything about.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is though. You know, I just think they don't tell us about it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, right now they're saying that airplanes have anti-gravity.
I would guess that. Yeah.
They're probably saying that because you really can't put 30,000 gallons of gasoline into the wing of an airplane.
Wow.
Because that's where they're putting it, apparently.
Yeah.
But how can you put that much gasoline into the wing of an airplane?
Yeah. It seems like it'd be impossible. Yeah.
So, did you get any other comments?
No other comments. Oh, let me see what. I'll look through the chat and see what. Um. Flixlove says Beetlejuice is at the Red Queen. You know.
I don't know if it's called a Red Queen. I know it's a star that went supernova.
Yeah.
I think they're still waiting for the impact of the supernova.
Oh, we had a call. Wait, I'll call back. Like someone tried to call in. Let me see. I'll call them back and let me just put them on speaker. Hello, you're live on the air.
Hey there, how you doing? Big Joe gets chilly, man. I love the program.
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
To share. Good. You know, I studied a lot of this stuff too, and I think sometimes it's the same because the death ray or the detonation or the like the nuclear bombs or whatever, it's all based on the same thing, like harnessing the energy of the sun, so to speak. So I like that because Tesla too, like when he was the tower went down, there was an anomaly that at the same time that was going on, I think the Tunganese, like explosion happened in Russia. So were they testing it? And then the Germans with the Hanabus over Washington, and it's like, is it all the same? Time travel, harnessing direct energy weapons, is it all coming from this unlimited power?
That's a really good point.
Because a lot of this stuff that we've noticed, it's like, well, wait a minute, is this like, let's say 911 with the, what do you call that element? God, I'm drawing a blank, but it's the implosive nature of what was put on the pillars, and it has a byproduct, which is aluminum oxide, which is the white powder, and then you have like lava. But that's using the same technology. it's like imploding. Like, could you imagine putting something on metal and all of a sudden it starts to heat up and it starts to turn into a volcano? And it's like, what are they doing? Is this Tesla technology? And is it in the Vedas? Is it in those symbols of the gentleman's paintings? You know, from what did Oppenheimer say? You know, he quoted Shiva, which is the goddess of destruction and rebirth. So is it all the same? It's just like, can you harness this for good, or you can also destroy it with the same energy?
Wow, that's deep, man. Yeah, you know, Jim, you and Chili managed to do a podcast together. Are you able to hear him, Jim?
Your volume is kind of low again.
Were you able to hear the caller?
Yeah, I heard some of it.
Yeah. Did you want to respond? Or
Do you know who Jason Giorgiani is?
yeah, I'll leave you. I would Chili man. I'll leave you on the phone too. I don't. I know who he is a little bit. I don't know much, but I know a little bit. Yeah.
He's a philosopher, and he was talking about technology, and he was talking about 0 point energy, specifically. And what he was saying about that was that if this 0 point energy becomes available to the public, which it will eventually, this would be extremely dangerous because 0 point energy can be used as a weapon.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
got.
so I mean, we talk about Tesla physics, you're talking about basically heading in the same direction.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Were you able to hear him, Chili man?
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's the same, because 0 point energy, the longitudinal wave, it's like a compressional wave. It's also like he says, it could be used for destruction or for healing, because the healing devices, the med beds, they have a time travel like aspect to them. Even the Tesla coils that Tesla made these two coils, and if you sat in that chair, you were literally at 0 point. And that's also the Nakwafen, the 0 point energy, which is also the TRB3s and the Vimanas, which is a Mercury vortex engine.
Holy shit.
And it's all based on the same principles, but it's how you use it. So it's like the bad guys and the good guys always inhabit the same highway. So he's totally on point, from the Vedas to the indigenous people, which also call that God, which is inhabiting the array. And that array is actually where 0 point energy comes from. And that's what the Tartarians were doing. That's what the Egyptian pyramids were doing by giving out, it was a grid of energy for the planet. But that got stopped, and we're not allowed to tap into the ether. But you can surely pay your energy company for your power. But where are they getting it? They're harnessing it from the earth. So it's like in Star Wars, unlimited power. Like the Jedi and the Djed and all the Egyptian symbols, it's all 0 point. And even the Nakwafen, like if they worked with Tesla stuff, or even the Orsich girls, right? They're Tibetan, and they were channeling blueprints, and it was all what we call 0 point, Oregon energy, scalar waves. It's all the same, and it's like creation, God, and also they say that our planet had 2 million years of this energy available that we're not allowed to tap, and the ones that do tap into it are the militaries, and all they know how to do is make weapons out of it.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
totally on point from the Vedas to the drawings to the. It's really good, really good.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a show with you and Jim together. That'd be great. You know, that'd be cool if they get you guys on the same show. You know, like yeah. Well, before we hang up, Chili Man, is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we, you know? Is he still there? I don't. What happened? Oh, he's gone. I don't know what happened. I don't. I don't know. I lost him. Damn. Um, I lost him. Oh well, it's all right. I'm gonna end the show soon anyway because I'm not feeling too good. I got another show in a half hour and I'm still feeling like kind of under the weather. But is there anything else you wanted to cover before we finish up tonight, Jim? This was a pretty good show.
No, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah, yeah. But do you want to tell people where they can find you and stuff like that? And like,
Yeah, if you could post my link for Facebook.
yeah, I will. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you want to, and you have books too, right? You have books on Amazon and stuff.
Yeah, I got 4 books on Amazon.
Yeah. And you guys just look up the author Jim Girouard. Yeah. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And yeah, I'll be live with Nathan Sizek at 9 p.m. I just want to get some air and take a breath in between because like this cold's been killing me, man. It's been dragging on. I just want it to be over. You know what I mean? I just want, yeah, like, and I guess a lot of people have. What's weird, you know what's funny, Jim? It's like weird that like a lot of people all across the country get sick. Like there's this flu season. It's almost like they drop it into the population. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because it's weird. Like everybody around the country is getting sick. Like I know somebody who was sick in California. You know, it's just weird how that happens. You know, and it
yeah.
always seems to happen around winter. You know, I don't know what that is.
Well, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And thanks, Chili Man, for calling in. And yeah, I was